Imagine a world where every word must be carved into stone or pressed into wet clay. For centuries, the act of writing was a heavy, permanent labor. But let us drift away from that intensity and focus on a much simpler, quieter object: the pencil. The story of the pencil does not begin with lead, despite what we call it. It begins in the mid-16th century in a quiet valley called Borrowdale in the Lake District of England. In the year 1564, a massive storm uprooted a large tree in Borrowdale. Beneath its roots, the locals discovered a strange, dark, and metallic substance. They initially thought it was coal, but it wouldn't burn. Instead, it left a dark, persistent mark on anything it touched. This was graphite, the purest deposit ever found. At first, it was used by shepherds to mark their sheep, a slow and repetitive task under the gray English sky. Because graphite is soft and brittle, it required a holder. The first pencils were simply chunks of graphite wrapped in string or sheepskin. Imagine the steady, rhythmic motion of a craftsman wrapping string around a dark rod of mineral, inch by inch, ensuring it was tight and secure. Eventually, the Italians thought of hollowed-out wooden sticks. Two halves of cedar wood were carved with a thin groove. The graphite was laid inside, and the two pieces were glued back together. This process, known as the cased pencil, remains largely unchanged to this day. In the 18th century, a shortage of pure graphite led Nicolas Jacques Conté, a scientist in France, to develop a new method. He mixed powdered graphite with clay and fired it in a kiln. By adjusting the ratio of clay to graphite, he could control the hardness of the pencil. A pencil with more clay is harder and produces a lighter line, the H pencils, while more graphite makes it softer and darker, the B pencils. Think of the slow baking of these clay graphite rods sitting in the heat of a kiln for hours, hardening into the tools of modern thought. Now, let us turn our attention to the eraser. Before erasers existed, writers used moist breadcrumbs to wipe away mistakes. Imagine a scholar sitting at a desk, rolling a piece of bread into a small ball to clean the parchment. It wasn't until 1770 that Edward Nairn, an English engineer, accidentally picked up a piece of rubber instead of bread and discovered it worked much better. This substance, derived from the sap of rubber trees, would slowly rub away the graphite particles from the fibers of the paper. The humble paperclip, too, has a tedious and fascinating history. Before the paperclip, people used straight pins or string to bind pages together. This left holes in the paper and often rusted over time. In the late 19th century, machines were developed to bend thin, galvanized steel wire into the gem design we use today, two nearly complete loops of wire. Imagine the repetitive sound of a factory machine, bending wire after wire, creating millions of identical, silver-colored curves. Stationery is about the details, the weight of the paper, the texture of the ink, and the steady movement of the hand. The fountain pen, with its internal reservoir, was a solution to the constant dipping of the quill. It relied on capillary action, a slow and silent physical process where liquid flows into narrow spaces without the assistance of external forces. The ink sits quietly in the barrel, waiting for the gentle pressure of the nib against the paper to begin its slow, controlled escape. Every desk, every drawer of stationery is a collection of hundreds of years of minor improvements. From the cedar forests to the graphite mines, from the rubber plantations to the steel mills. As you think of these small, ordinary objects, the yellow paint of a pencil, the smooth spiral of a notebook, the dry smell of an eraser, let your mind become as heavy as a thick ream of paper. The pencil lies still, the ink is dry, the day is finished. Consider now the ruler, a silent guardian of order. For centuries, humans measured with their hands, their feet, or the length of a king's stride. But the modern ruler, etched with tiny, precise lines of millimeters and inches, brings a quiet discipline to the desk. Imagine the cold, smooth surface of a wooden or steel ruler, resting perfectly flat against a blank page. The lines are unyielding, the edges are sharp, and the measurements are eternal. It does not rush, it simply waits to define the space between 2 points, a slow and steady guide for the wandering mind. Think of the spiral notebook, a collection of endless potential held together by a simple coil of wire. The sound of turning a page is a soft, rhythmic friction, a gentle shh that echoes in a quiet room. Each page is a vast white field waiting for the slow march of the pencil. The wire coil winds round and round, a repetitive silver helix that binds your thoughts in a predictable, stable loop. As you trace the spiral with your mind, feel the repetitive nature of its form, a continuous circle that leads nowhere but deeper into the stillness of the paper. Finally, reflect on the heavy silence of the desk itself. The wood is cool beneath your hands, holding the weight of the lamps, the books, and the scattered tools of the day. The light grows dim, casting long, unmoving shadows across the grain of the timber. There is no more to write. The ink has settled deep into the fibers, and the graphite has left its final mark. Everything is in its place. The world of stationery is at rest, and the silence of the room is as thick and comforting as an ancient library. Let the quietness of these objects anchor you, drifting down, layer by layer, into a deep and wordless sleep.